Yeah, so a few different things today. Good morning, everybody. And it's 9 o'clock, so we'll get started. I'm going to mute everybody now, and I will at the end. If you're still with me, I will unmute everybody so we can say hello and whatnot. But I'll mute everybody now, and I'll show you close up what these mudras are, because I think it'll be a little bit challenging to understand them when I am further away. So the mantra that we're going to be using, which a few of you know already and love already, is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. And this mantra is lovely. It's often done as a chant and often sung, but the translation of it is, or a translation of it is, may all beings everywhere be free from suffering, and may my actions contribute in some way to that freedom from suffering. And so the mudras that go with this, the set of 3, you can do them or you can choose not to. And that goes with anything in a yoga practice, right? Sometimes just simply sitting here with everybody in the group and their energies is just as wonderful as actually doing whatever it is, right? So the first mudra is our space mudra. So this whole concept of this mantra is creating space for everybody to be able to heal from whatever they're suffering from. And so space mudra is connecting middle finger and thumb. So this is the first one, and this is space all around us everywhere in general. And then we're going to connect this space mudra. This is drawing the pinkies and all the fingers together, including your middle finger and thumb, connecting them. And this goes to around the solar plexus. And then the next part of this is to lift this mudra up, and then we're going to keep the middle fingers connected, but let the thumbs go, and the thumbs and the pinkies come apart. Okay, so that one comes up towards your heart and your throat. And then we bring them all together with our Anjali mudra, and this is the transition. We connect the pinkies and then circle around with our hands and then come to Anjali mudra at the heart. So Anjali mudra is that connecting and sealing mudra. It's the promise. So Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, this entire mudra has to do with a promise of action that I will take in my own life to support other people, which I always find is an important mantra to be utilizing around this time of year when I am focused on our community with our homeless folks. But in general, this is a wonderful one to use anytime, no matter who you're focusing on, or even if you don't have someone in particular you're focusing on. It's just an invitation to promise to take action to support others. So let's come to a comfortable seat. And again, all the props. And I did mention in the last few practices that if you do have only a half hour, like we often only have, then you are welcome to jump out of this anytime you need to. However, if you get to stay with us through the whole thing, that's lovely too. So your comfortable seat, make sure that your sitting bones maybe are elevated a little bit so that hip flexors don't have to work as hard. And then shift your sitting bones, move them back and broad. And we'll move through this mantra and mudra just one time, but then we'll come back to it at the end for our meditation. So as you connect middle finger and thumb together, palms up on your legs, sit tall, lengthen your spine. Take a moment for a full breath as you create space in your own body. You can close your eyes here if you want to, or you can always stay watching if that is helpful. With this space mudra, considering it being all around us. This is our word Loka. And connecting our pinkies and then all of our fingers, including your thumb and middle finger at your solar plexus. This is the connection of space. And take a full breath. This is our samasta. And now allowing your hands to come up, keeping connected through the middle fingers. Let the bottoms of your palms connect. Pinkies and thumbs come apart. This is our Sukino. Ease from suffering. Full breath. And then connecting your pinky side, find that rotation through your hands all the way around and connect all together with that seal of Anjali Mudra at the heart center, Bhavantu. Take a full deep inhale, long full exhale, and bow towards your heart. May all beings everywhere be free from suffering. And may my actions in some way contribute to that freedom from suffering for all. And releasing your hands down, bring your feet out in front of you. You can still be sitting on something, whether it's a blanket or a pillow, and then bring hands behind you, and you can come up on the fingertips here or your palms down. Walk your feet out wider than your mat. And now we're going to take our windshield wipers here, starting to move side to side with our legs, both knees to one side, both knees to the other side. A couple times, starting to work through hips, maybe through the outside edges of your legs, IT bands, maybe that pocket muscle. And as you take this movement, just notice for yourself, you're probably shifting in your seat a little bit, that's okay. But notice for yourself how one side feels compared to the other. This time to spend on your yoga mat is such a gift, I think, that we give to ourselves to really tune into being connected with what's happening in our bodies. And that connection enables us to be connected outside of ourselves. Back into center now. Footprints to the floor again. Hands come to your knees, and you can adjust your seat if you want, moving sitting bones. Take off my sweater. But hands at your knees, we'll move through a couple rounds of cat and cow here. Inhale to sit tall, and exhale to press back through your spine. Inhale, sit tall, and exhale, press back. Take 3 more breaths here at your own pace, with your own breath. And now sitting tall, and again, you can always be sitting up on something. Create a base for yourself with your left leg, and your right leg, we're gonna bring it up for a baby cradle. So you're picking up your knee and your foot and holding on to them, or you can take your strap around your foot and your knee and hold on to that, especially if bringing it close is tricky, okay? So from that place, flex your foot and then start to rock it side to side. And as you rock it side to side, lift and lengthen through your spine. Tendency when we start to open hips, or really even close that space between our torso and our legs, our low back tends to round if we're tight there, especially through that big hip flexor called the psoas. That hip flexor is what sometimes causes our low backs to scream at us. Take another couple of deep breaths. And now we're going to come to what kind of resembles a happy baby pose. So you're going to turn your right leg to the side so that your knee is aimed back and your foot is aimed forward. And this is another place where your strap is handy if sitting tall here is tricky, okay? So you decide, that's always an option. If you're holding onto your foot, then think about holding onto the outside edge of it. Flex your foot, and then Bring a little bit of action here. Sit tall. Pull back with your hand, but also push forward into your hand with your foot, so a little resistance. Take a big deep breath. You can always use your left hand to support you to find that long spine. Full big deep inhale, long full exhale. Then gently release your foot down, coming into that cross-legged position that we know and love. Right leg starts to become the base. Pick your left foot up. And again, you can always use a strap here to help you. Flex your foot. That provides ankle stability and knee stability. And start to move side to side here. Little cradle rock. Lift through your spine. Think of long, long, long. I even like to think all the way down at my sacrum. Sacrum is just above your tailbone. Don't know where it is. Then I think of lifting that up and forward. So your belly is pulling a little bit forward as you tilt your pelvis. Good. So now we're going to take that half happy baby variation here, holding onto the outside of your foot or using a strap. Flex your foot and then use your right fingertips to help you sit tall and begin to press back and push forward at the same time, that resistance. As you lengthen even more, take a full big breath. Give yourself the information. Notice what's going on in your body today. Notice what's happening through your hip flexors, your low back, whatever's showing up. Take the information in. Remember that this is a gift that we give to ourselves, to really be aware, really be able to take healthy action. Good. And now both feet come together rather into our butterfly, just a gentle one to begin with. We're going to come back to it later in a restore pose. But just for a moment, allowing our legs to open, not trying to push knees down or anything like that, just simply allowing them to open to where they go. And holding on to your shins or peace fingers at big toes or fingers behind you, sit tall, lengthen. Again, trying to find that place where your pelvis can tilt a little forward. Tricky in this pose for sure. Take a big deep inhale, long full exhale. Good. Okay, footprints to the floor in front of you. And we're going to actually take the blanket out from underneath, or if you're sitting on something else, take it out from underneath, footprints to the floor. Hands come behind you, and we'll work into a tabletop. But if that doesn't work for your shoulders, then you get to stay with your hips down. So fingertips aimed forward, wrist creases working toward parallel with the front of the mat. However, if that bothers your shoulder or your wrists, then you can turn them out slightly, okay? So as you push down into your hands, draw shoulder blades onto your back and notice a lift here through your heart space. Push through your hands, push through your feet. Inhale, lift your hips up, coming into that tabletop. Keep shoulder blades engaged. Rooting down, hug in a little bit like you were squeezing onto a block between your legs. Exhale, hips come all the way down to the ground. Extend your legs out long in front of you. If you have some tight hamstrings, you might put a blanket underneath your legs here. Shift your sitting bones, and with fingertips pressing down beside your hips, lift your ribs, lift your chest, lift your heart. Big opening in your staff pose. Full big breath. Good, then bend your knees. We'll take each of these poses one more time. Hands come behind you, and again, remember the option to keep your hips down is always there. So root through the four corners of your palms, all your fingertips. Start to lift up and open through your chest here, even before you lift your hips. Now, as you push your feet down, inhale, lift your hips up. Keep your shoulder blades engaging onto your back. Keep rooting through your feet, and even think of reaching forward through your thighs. Big, full, deep breath. And exhale, release your hips down, reaching forward through your legs again. Staff pose. If you have longer arms than me, you might be putting your entire palm down, or your fingertips come to the ground right beside your hips. Lift your shoulders up and back, engage your feet, start to root through your heels. Take a big deep breath. Good, now bend your knees and we're gonna roll to the side with our legs to forward onto hands and knees. And for a moment, settle hips back toward your heels into a child's pose. Take a couple deep breaths as you shift your hips a little side to side. Walk your fingertips forward. And as you rest your head down, take a moment to remind yourself that this is a place, if it feels good to you, that you can come to at any time. Full big inhale, long deep exhale. Then inhale, rising up to your hands and your knees. Pause for a moment as you root down through palms and fingertips. Rotate elbow pits forward and push, expanding into the upper back. Tuck your toes under behind you and lift your hips, downward facing dog, just long enough to find length. So from your lats out through your hands, push. Tilt your sitting bones even further up. And now come back down onto your hands and knees. Stay strong, rotated through your arms and pushing. Inhale, reach your right leg back behind you. Turn open with your hip, turning your right toes to the side. And then step right foot forward in between your hands, coming into our first lunge with the back knee down. Center off your hips and push down with your back knee. This helps you to stay a little bit lifted out of the hips. Inhale, reach your arms wide and up if that's in your practice, or you can always come to a gratitude arms place if that feels better to the shoulders. Take a big, deep inhale, long, full exhale. Next exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Set your left hand on a block or the floor on the outside edge of your mat. Right hand to your knee as you begin to take a twist to the right side. Put both shoulder blades onto your back and then stretch if you would like to. Right arm reaches up, but you can always take it over your ear. I always like this option because it helps me to get a little more length through that top side. Exhaling, hands come all the way back down to the floor, or even find the highest prop you have, blocks if you have them, or something else to bring your hands up to extend through your heart. And now work your hips back into that half monkey pose or half split to come to a hamstring stretch. Shift where your heel is, maybe bump it a little forward or back, and then pull your toes back toward your nose. Press your heel down and begin to wrap your left or your right hip back rather. Send your sitting bones up. Take a big deep inhale, long full exhale. Good, inhale, bend into your front knee. Step back onto hands and knees. Pause and set yourself up. Rotate elbow pits forward and push, expanding the upper back. And then toes push, lift your hips up and back again for just a moment before we take the other side. From lats out through your hands, create that length. Send your sitting bones up. And then release your knees back down onto the ground, strong through your palms. Keep that rotation of your upper arm bones and reach back with your left leg. Turn open with your hip. Take a big, full, deep breath. And then step left foot forward in between your hands. Again, coming to that low lunge first with the back knee on the ground. And you work that back knee back as far as you need to get a little longer stretch through your back thigh. Then center off your hips and then reach your arms wide enough. Or come to whatever variation of arms feels the best to your body. Take a full big breath. As you settle into that front knee, you're also pushing down with your back knee to help your hips stay a little bit elevated. So don't sink into anything, overstrain connections. Take a big inhale, lift your heart up higher. Exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat, finding your blocks and work your way back with your hips. Coming to a straight or toward a straight front leg. Shift your heel to wherever you need it to be for a little bit more comfort. Press it down. That helps you not hyperextend, so make sure your knee's a little bit bent. Toes pull back. wrap your left hip back and extend your heart forward to upward sitting bones. See if you can find that action. Full big deep breath. Good, bend into your front knee and step back into a hands and knees place. Pause and take a gentle cat and cow. As you set yourself up, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, move with your breath. Inhale, belly toward the ground. Exhale, lifting your spine toward the ceiling. And as you move here, notice that tilt of your pelvis. Notice that movement of shoulder blades toward each other and then apart. And now we're going to come up to our tall knees. So if you'd like to add a little cushion underneath your knees, you can. You're welcome to have a blanket or something underneath them. And you can also turn sideways here. I have 2 mats I'm working with, so I'm going to stay straight ahead. But we're going to take right leg out to the side. And as you come to the side with your leg, think of your standing knee as being straight up and down with your thigh. Right foot, give it a flex. And if it feels okay to your ankle, you can always set your foot down, but your toes are aimed forward. This helps to bring a little rotation of your inner thigh back. That helps to broaden and open through the low back. So wherever that is, either flexed and lifted with your pinky toe edge or setting it down, find what feels the best. Take your hands to your hips and press down. Start to lift up and open through your heart space. And now, as you move both inner thighs back, start to engage your low belly and your low glutes. Pull them in. And then work right hand down your leg just a little bit, kind of in between your hip and your knee. And then turn your torso to the left side a little bit. Shoulder blades on your back. If it feels good, you can stretch. Left arm over your ear. Take a big, deep inhale, long, full exhale. And in particular, think of expanding your left ribs. Maybe you stretch a little bit further to the side as you stay open with your torso. Inhale, rise back up and bring both knees back to the ground. And then reach left foot out to the side. And from this place again, either flexed with your pinky toe edge lifted or set your pinky toe edge down but toes aimed forward. Then inner thighs move back, engage low belly, low glutes. Hands to your hips, lift through your sides, lift your heart up. Then work. Left hand down your thigh, halfway-ish. Turn your belly, turn your heart to the right. Put both shoulder blades on your back and then stretch. Big deep breath. As you take your big breath, think of expanding your right side, but your whole rib cage will expand. One more full breath. Maybe you're deepening this just a little bit, but keeping your hand away from your knee. Inhale, come back up to center. Both knees come to the ground. Go ahead and settle back into a child's pose. Big toes together, knees wide if it's comfortable. And shift your hands forward as far as your body needs. Let your head rest down. And if your knees are saying no to child's pose, feel free to keep them a little bit elevated or even put something in between your calves and your thighs, like a blanket. 2 more deep breaths right here. Then inhale, rise up to your hands and knees. And from this place, rotate elbow pits forward and push. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog pose. And take a couple deep breaths to pedal out with your legs. Start to get a sense for what's showing up for you in your hamstrings, your hips, your low back. And then walk your way forward, coming into your forward fold at the front of your mat. And feel free to have a prop underneath your hands here. Feet a little bit wider than your hips. Lift and spread your toes and then root them down. Press. Little bend to your knees. Take an inhale and lengthen partway. Hands above your knees. Send your sitting bones up. Extend your heart forward. Exhale and fold over your legs as deeply as your body is ready for. And a deep fold sometimes does not feel good on the low back. So feel free to come up to elbows on your thighs or stay with hands on your thighs. Big, full, deep breath. Nod and shake your head. And then walk your way up your legs, rising all the way up to stand. Walk your feet in to inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes again. Fire up the muscles of your feet. Your arches lift and then push down with your toes. Turn your palms forward. Think of shoulders lifting up and back. And then from here, take your right ear over to your right shoulder. Keep your left shoulder blade moving onto your back and drop your chin a little bit downward. And then lift your chin a little bit upward. Drop your chin downward. Lift your chin upward. And then back into center with your head and your neck. Reopen through your chest. Think of rotating your upper arm bones. Your palms turn a little bit outward. And then take left ear to your left shoulder. Right shoulder blade stays engaged. And then tuck down. And lift up. And tuck down. And lift up. And then come back into center. And now reach or bring arms out to your cactus. And with this cactus, lift your elbows up to shoulder height. Move them back in space. Feeling shoulder blades engaged. And begin to lift up and open through your chest, your heart space. Think of your elbows tilting upward. And then engage. Low belly, low glutes. This will support the lowest part of your low back. Take a big inhale, lift your chest up a little higher. Exhale this time, low ribs draw in. Inhale, rise back up, release your arms down and give them a little bit of a shake. And now we're gonna bring some focus to the legs. So if you'd like to, you can bring a block to the outside of your left foot. Feet for a moment are inner hip distance apart and parallel. Start to sit your hips back into a chair-like pose. So your sitting bones are moving back. Even think of rotating your inner thighs in, back, and broad. And now, as you squeeze your low glutes and your low belly, shift your weight over onto your left leg and cross your right thigh over the top of your left thigh. Maybe touch your toes down to your block here. Maybe hug in a lot with the muscles of your legs and lift your toes. From this place, hands come behind your back to clasp. And as you clasp, press your palms together, elbows bent. Lift your shoulders up and back. And then if you want to, you can start to lift your hands away from your back, but keep your elbows unlocked and your wrists unlocked. Take a big, deep inhale, long, full exhale. Then push into the floor and stand tall, release your hands. And now, same thing if you want, you can have a prop for the outside of your right leg. Feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes and root them. And then begin to sit your hips back. Inner thighs move back, sitting bones are broad. Lift your chest. Right, now engage. Low belly, low glutes. Pull your low ribs in. Now shift your weight over to your right leg. Cross your left thigh over the top. So maybe you touch down with your toes. Maybe you hug in a lot and lift your toes. Hands come behind your back again to clasp. And again, press palms. Elbows are bent and hugging back. Lift your chest. Take a full big breath. Opening up through the heart, creating that space. Now support that space by drawing in with the ribs. Exhale. Inhale, lift your chest. And now exhale, push into the floor. Stand all the way up, foot to the ground, arms release. Feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes again and root them. Inhale, stretch up, lengthen. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, part way up. Exhale and fold. Plant your fingertips. You're stepping back with your right foot into your lunge. And from this place, your knee can be up or down, your choice. But center with your hips, sending your left hip crease back in space and push down with your back toes. Lift your upper thigh. Then begin to rise up into your lifted lunge, your crescent, hands at your hips. Hands at your hips will help you to be able to center again, wrapping the left hip back and down. As you lift, lift, lift through your heart, start to reach across with your right hand to your left thigh. Left hand to your hip. Push down with both hands, lift through your chest. And now our twists get to happen primarily from our ribs and up. So exhale, low ribs in to help you twist more. And from this place, left fingertips to your shoulder, lift your elbow up to shoulder height. And then plug in with your left shoulder blade. Open your arm up straight out, as opposed to trying to reach back, straight out from your shoulder. Take a big deep breath. On your exhale, back into center, hands at your hips. Big inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Step all the way back into a downward facing dog pose and take a full deep breath. Optional vinyasa here. If you would like to, you can stay in down dog, come to your child's pose, or inhale, come forward into a plank. Knees are always an option. Rotate elbow pits forward and push. Extend your heart forward. Then bend your elbows as you exhale and lower all the way down to your belly. Set yourself up, rooting through the tops of your feet and your knees. Engage your low belly and your low ribs with an exhale. Inhale, curl up and open as high as your body needs, keeping shoulders back and broad. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Take a big deep breath. And now inhale, lift your right leg up behind you. You can always be on hands and knees for this. Center off your hips here. So your right hip is rotating down, your toes are rotating down. Send your left thigh back in space. Then step right foot forward in between your hands. Work it forward so you have that stacked place for your front shin. Push into the floor to bring yourself upright into your crescent. Now right hip crease moves back in space. Push down with your back toes and think of your upper thigh lifting up. Lift, lift, lift through your ribs. And then before you twist, draw your low belly and your low ribs in. Then begin to take your twist. Left hand comes to your thigh, right hand to your hip. Keep wrapping back with your right hip. Lift up with your sides. Exhale, low ribs in to twist a little more. Then right fingertips to your shoulder. Lift your elbow up to shoulder height. Plug in with your shoulder blade. And then, if you'd like, you can open up with that arm. Palm will be up here. Take a big deep breath. Good, inhale, come back into center. And exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Plant your hands and step back, downward facing dog pose. Again, your choice, down dog, child's pose, or inhale, come forward into a plank. Find that rotation of your upper arm bones and push, expanding into your back body, then lower down. Inhale, curl up and open. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg, rotate your outer left hip down, pressing back with your right thigh. From your lats out through your hands, push. And then step left foot forward and right foot forward, coming into your forward fold. Inhale and lengthen partway. Exhale and fold over your legs. Hands to hips. Push your hips back, start to lift up and open through your shoulders and rise all the way up to stand. And now we'll come back to that eagle pose, and this time we'll bring arms and legs into it. And again, it's always an option to come to a block beside your foot as something to press into, or you can touch your toes to the ground, or you can hug in with the muscles of your legs and wrap your toes around the backside of the calf, okay? So feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. Start to bend into your knees, moving inner thighs in, back, and broad. And hands come to your thighs for a moment. Start to lift up with your toes here, shifting a little weight onto your heels so your shins are moving back. Keep that and put your toes down. Now, shift your weight over to your left foot and cross your right thigh over your left. And from there, again, you can touch your toes. You can hug in a lot and lift your toes. You can wrap your toes around the back side of your calf if you want to. So wrap your right hip back, lift your arms up to shoulder height, plug in with your shoulder blades, and then wrap left elbow over your right. And then if you want to, you can take eagle arms here, taking a hold of your palms, or you can reach around for a hug, whichever feels the best to your body. Lift elbows up and plug in with shoulder blades. Then as you settle your hips a little deeper, tone your low belly, tone your low ribs, take a full big breath, and create space in your rib cage. Good, inhale, rise all the way up. Release arms and release your leg. Walk for your right foot if you would like. Feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes, and then root them down, and then settle hips back. Again, hands to your thighs to start with, and rotate inner thighs in, back, and broad. Tone low belly and low glutes, low ribs, and then shift your weight over to your right leg. Cross your left leg over the top. Your thighs are crossing, hug in with the muscles of your legs. Send your left thigh back in space. Maybe pick your toes up as you hug in. Maybe keep them down, your choice. Reach your arms. Reach long, and then plug in with your shoulder blades. Now as you bring your arms to cross, right elbow crosses over left. Take a hold of palms or hold on to shoulders, whichever one feels the best. Lift your elbows up and plug in with shoulder blades. Then maybe settle a little bit deeper, pushing hips back, toning through your core. Big deep breath. Create even more space by pushing sitting bones back and expanding your rib cage with your breath. Inhale, rise up, release your arms, release your foot back to the ground, and then pause for a moment, feeling the connections of your feet on the ground. Lift and spread your toes and push. Palms turn forward, eyes are closed. Take a deep breath. Tuning into the space that's inside, the sensations that are present. Notice your own life force energy, your prana. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend knees to fold over your legs. Planting hands, step back, downward facing dog or hands and knees, your choice. Rotate elbow pits forward and push. Send your sitting bones up. Sway your hips a little side to side. And then lower knees down, hips to heels. Take a child's pose and take a couple of deep breaths. And now gently push yourself up to your seat. And we're going to come all the way down to sitting bones. And I'm going to turn sideways for this one because I think sometimes it can be confusing. But we're going to take our one-legged forward fold first. So right leg comes straight out ahead of you. Left knee bent, foot into the side of your thigh. Move your sitting bones, and you can always have something underneath your seat here. We are going to be lifting our hips in a moment, but they can always come back down onto a blanket or whatever. Find your belly tilting forward as you tilt your pelvis. Find from your heel back into your hip socket, pulling in. Engage your left leg, so think of your pinky toe edge pushing down and your ankle lifting. So a lot happening there to create a solid base. Now press your fingertips down beside you, lift your ribs up high, and now a little bit of a twist to the right side. Low ribs draw in to help that twist happen. Take your left hand across to the outside of your right thigh. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, fold toward your right leg as deeply as your body is ready for. Maybe you reach out for your foot, or just keep your hand at the side of your leg somewhere. Find lots of lift and length. Take a big deep inhale, long full exhale. Then inhale, rise back up. And we're gonna keep the same shape of our legs as we take a modified version of our wild thing. So left hand comes behind your hip, fingertips turned backwards. Push down with your hand, put your shoulder blade on your back, and then you're pushing with your heel and your leg to rise up with your hips, to come up onto your knee. And from this place, as your shoulder blades are on your back, you might reach your right arm up and over your ear, maybe even take your gaze behind you, or wherever is comfortable for your neck. Take a big deep breath. This is also known as half circle pose. Full deep inhale, long full exhale. Find your low belly and your low ribs drawing in. Inhale, extend your heart a little further. Exhale, hips come all the way back down, and now switching sides. Left leg extends forward, right foot into the side of your leg. And set yourself up. Pause and find that movement of your sitting bones back and broad. Press your heel down and draw your toes back. And then think of that right foot as needing to have some action for your ankle so it's not collapsing down. Push your pinky toe edge down, ankle lifts. From your left heel to your hip, pull in. Now press your fingertips down beside you, lift your chest, lift your heart. Exhale, low ribs in to help you start your twist, and then reach your right hand across to the outside of your left leg, wherever that needs to be. Inhale, lift your chest, and exhale, take that fold as deeply as you need. Take a big, deep inhale, lengthen. Exhale, low ribs draw in to help you twist. Good, then inhale, rising all the way back up. Your right hand comes back behind your right hip. And give it a little bit of distance here. Fingers turned back. Shoulder blade is on your back and begin to push. Hand down, heel down, foot down. Come up onto your knee. Extend your heart. Hips are lifted. Maybe you stretch your top arm over your ear, but just remember, both shoulder blades plug in. Take a big, deep breath. Engage what's touching the floor. Press down, and then find low belly, low ribs engaging. Inhale, expand more, maybe reach further. Exhale, hips come all the way down. And now soles of feet come together into your butterfly. And this time grab your blanket and roll your blanket up. Set your blanket over the tops of your feet. And wrap the edges underneath your legs. I'm going to actually stay turned to the side here. So now we're coming into a little bit more of a restorative pose. So grab your pillow or pillows or your bolster and set it back behind you. You can always use a rolled up blanket here instead if the pillows are a little bit much for your back. But then start to recline over your pillow or bolster and open up with your palms facing the ceiling. As we come to this reclined butterfly, notice how it feels. As we shift into our restorative poses, this is an opportunity to take the action that serves you the best. So if something's uncomfortable, shift. Finding that place of rest here for a few moments. Maybe close your eyes if that feels good. You're always welcome to keep them open. Allow yourself a gentle body scan, and especially take that gentleness to mean no judgment around anything that's showing up in your body. Allow your breath to help you create space. remembering to honor anything that shows up, whether it's physically or whether it's mentally. We have about 5 more breaths here. Now bringing knees back up to center, gently roll over to one side and push yourself up off of your pillow or bolster. And now I'm going to stay turned to the side for this next one. This is another restorative pose, and this one I think feels really wonderful on the low back and helps stretch gently through the glutes. So this is a restorative version of our cow head pose or Gomukhasana. So grab whatever props you're using for blocks. You're going to set them up so that your pillow or bolster can rest over them at an angle, because our legs are going to go up the prop. And that could be a stack of something. It could be a stack of books even, or a stack of pillows, so that you have this recline. And now you're going to shift feet to either side of your pillow or bolster and shift your hips close to it. And then you're going to lay down with your torso. And now the left leg crosses over first. So you're going to bring your left thigh up the bolster, your left foot maybe to the right side of the bolster, and then your right thigh goes over it. So this is very similar to what we took in our eagle pose, but it's reclined. So take a moment to adjust and shift until it feels good. And then you can let your arms rest. You can always take your blanket and place it over you for a little bit more grounding if you like. Take some big breaths here, giving yourself that permission to settle, to notice what's showing up for you. And as with any pose, we're all very different in our experiences. So if this doesn't feel good, you can always come out of it and maybe even come back into your reclined butterfly. There's that freedom there to give yourself the gift of compassion. Again, eyes open or closed, your choice. Three more breaths on this side. And now gently taking your right leg off the top, footprint back to the floor, left leg off. And now right leg comes onto the bolster first, and then your right leg crosses, or left leg crosses over it. Basically switching sides. So take the time here to notice if you need to shift anything or how this side feels compared to the other side. And as you take some breaths, softly, gently, scan through your body and notice. Again, taking away any kind of judgment. Just taking in the details. Three more breaths on this side. And then gently taking the left foot off the top and right foot off. And now from here, you can roll over and sit up to move your props. Or if you'd like to, you can simply push them aside, make lots of noise, it's okay. So now find your strap, here it is. And as you bring your left knee in towards your chest, lasso the ball of your left foot and begin to lengthen your left foot straight up. Right leg, if it's comfortable, you can extend it out straight against the ground. And pause for a moment here, not thinking of trying to draw your toes back towards your head, but reach up through your heel. Knee is as bent as you need it to be, and if you are a hyperextender, then give it a little micro bend. Now bring awareness to your right leg for a moment and rotate your toes up so your inner thigh is moving toward the ground, and then from your heel into your hip socket, pull in. This helps to even out your hips. Hold on to your strap with your right hand. Take your left thumb into your hip crease and push your hip crease a little forward so you're creating space on your left side. Take a big deep breath here, reaching through your heel. As you take a big breath, focus that breath on your low back. Think of allowing your low back muscles to expand and contract with your inhales and exhales. And now just gently draw your leg across your body to the right side, keeping your left hip planted, keeping your hips both evenly on the floor. So a little stretch through the IT band, maybe through that pocket muscle, the TFL. Then inhale, come back into the center, bend your knee into your chest. You can take the strap off your foot, give your knee a squeeze, and then release your foot to the ground. Draw your right knee in, lasso the ball of your right foot, and start to lengthen. That lasso of the ball of your foot instead of the arch helps you to flex. And then reach through your right or your left leg rather, if you would like to, all the way out against the ground. Then rotate your inner thigh down, your toes up on your left leg and pull in, hip to or heel to hip socket. Hold on to the strap with your left hand, right thumb into your hip crease and give your hip crease a little push. Ultimately, you're pushing your outer thigh forward a little bit. You'll see a little rotation in your leg. Take a big deep breath here with more even hips. Breathe into your low back. And then just gently draw your leg across your body to the left side, keeping your right hip grounded, not letting it pop up off the ground. This is a really nice way to stabilize your sacrum. Then inhale back into the center with your leg. Bend your knee, take your strap off of your foot. You can sit to the side now and give your knee a squeeze. And now we'll take a brief Shavasana before we come to our meditation. So set yourself up in a really comfortable way. If you have any low back stuff going on, feel free to place a bolster or a pillow underneath your legs and let your legs come to rest. Or you can always come to a butterfly again. You can always bring a blanket over your hips or your belly, or cover yourself entirely. Take the time to find what would feel really good for your body to be able to rest. As you start to let yourself rest, do that gentle body scan. Give yourself that chance to notice without judgment. And give yourself permission to release, to let go. Now, as you bring your awareness back to your breath, you can start to notice your body in this space. And if it would feel best to you to stay reclined for your meditation, you're welcome to stay right here. Otherwise, bend your knees, roll over to your side, and gently make your way up to a really comfortable seat. And that could even be sitting with a bigger prop underneath you, maybe on your knees instead of cross-legged. But whatever feels the best to you to sit. And again, you can always have whatever tools you like for meditation. Take a moment in your seat to shift, or as you are reclined, to shift a little bit, to create a little bit different experience for yourself where you are. Eyes open or closed. Take your middle finger and your thumb to connect on both hands, palms up. Or if you're reclined, you can do this with your hands on the ground, or you don't have to do it at all. And just for a moment with this first Akash or space mudra, listen to the mantra, and then we'll do it slowly with our mudras. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be free from suffering. And may my actions in some way contribute to this freedom from suffering for all. With this first mudra, Loka, take a deep breath in and out. Connect that mudra if you would like to, drawing the fingertips together and the mudra together at your solar plexus. Samasta. Deep breath in and out. Draw your hands towards your heart as you keep your middle fingers connected. Let your thumbs and pinkies separate. Sukhi no. Deep breath in and out. And start to rotate your hands around and connect them in Anjali Mudra, prayer position of the heart. Bhavantu. Deep breath in and out. Now we'll go through those mantras, through the mantra slowly and the mudras. And with each mudra, take a deep breath in and out before moving to the next one. Loka. Samasta. Sukhi no. Bhavantu. Loka. Samasta. Sukhi no. Bhavantu. Loka. Samasta. Sukhi no. Bhavantu. Keeping hands in Anjali Mudra, eyes open or closed. Take just another moment in time to take a full breath in and out. Loka, Samasta, Sukhi no, Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be free from suffering. And may my actions in some way contribute to that freedom from suffering. Have such a beautiful day and a wonderful holiday. Namaste. Thanks so much, everybody.